If I had known a simple drive across town would change the way I understood my own son, I would have paid closer attention to every mile. Today, I'm sharing the moment he opened up to me in a way I never expected, and trust me, you won't want to miss what he revealed. Before we begin, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from, and if you enjoy stories like this, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. It truly helps. The late afternoon sun hovered low as I pulled out of our driveway, the warm glow brushing across the dashboard. My son, Daniel, had insisted on coming along for the ride. He's 23 now, grown, independent, busy with his own world. We don't get as many moments alone as we used to, so I welcomed it. As we merged onto the main road, he sat quietly beside me, tapping his fingers lightly against his jeans. He'd always done that when he was gathering his thoughts. The sky stretched open in soft golds and fading blues, and for a while, we simply listened to the hum of the engine and the whisper of passing wind. I asked him about work, about his friends, about the usual things mothers ask when trying to peek into the corners of their children's lives. He answered politely, but I could feel something else in the air. A weight, a hesitation, as if he were standing on the edge of saying something he wasn't sure I was ready to hear. The road curved around the lake, its surface reflecting the sky like glass. That's when he finally spoke, not with his usual joking tone, but with a quiet steadiness that made me grip the steering wheel a little tighter. "Mom," he said, "can I tell you something without you thinking I'm strange?" His voice was thoughtful, gentle, but there was a kind of tension beneath it. Not fear, just the uncertainty of someone trying to express something important. I glanced at him for a moment, seeing the same boy who used to run to me with scraped knees and big feelings, now sitting taller, older, yet still needing reassurance. "You can tell me anything," I said. "I'm your mother. Nothing you say will change that." He took a slow breath, eyes fixed on the horizon ahead. For a heartbeat, neither of us spoke. The car filled with the soft rhythm of the tires rolling over the pavement. "I've been thinking a lot," he said, "about the choices I'm making, about who I'm becoming. And I guess I'm realizing I don't have everything figured out the way everyone assumes I do." It wasn't the words themselves that surprised me. It was the honesty, the vulnerability. He'd always tried to be the strong one, the steady one, even when he was barely old enough to understand the world. Hearing him open up so candidly struck something deep in me. I kept my voice calm. "You don't have to have everything figured out, sweetheart. Nobody does. Not even at my age." He finally looked at me then, eyes reflecting something raw and searching. "I just didn't want you to be disappointed in me." The sentence landed softly, but it carried the weight of years I didn't even know were resting on his shoulders. And for a moment, the world outside the car seemed to hush, the water, the trees, the distant traffic, all fading into the background as I realized this conversation was more important than any destination we were heading toward. I reached over, giving his hand a gentle squeeze. "There is nothing you could tell me that would make me disappointed in you." He nodded, but I could tell he had more to say. Something deeper, something he was still gathering the courage to bring forward. And that was when the drive truly began to change. The moment Daniel nodded, the car seemed to settle into a quieter rhythm, as if it knew we were crossing into more delicate territory. The sun had dipped lower now, leaving warm streaks across the windshield. I slowed just a bit, not wanting the moment to feel rushed. These conversations don't come often, and when they do, they deserve space. Daniel rested his elbow against the door, his gaze fixed on the passing trees. "You know," he said softly, "growing up, I always felt like I had to keep it together. For you, for everyone." His voice wasn't shaky, but it carried the weight of something long held in silence. I felt a gentle ache in my chest. "I never wanted you to feel that kind of pressure." He gave a faint, almost nostalgic smile. "I know you didn't. You were always there. But I guess when Dad left, I thought, If I stayed strong, maybe it would make everything easier for you." The words hit me like a slow, steady wave. Not painful, but humbling. All those years, I'd worried whether I was enough for him. I never imagined he might have been trying to be enough for me. Traffic thinned as we moved into a quieter part of town. Small houses with porch lights flickering on, the smell of evening air drifting through the cracked window. Everything felt softer, more open to whatever he needed to say next. "I want you to know something," I told him. "You were a child. I never needed you to hold anything together. All I ever needed was for you to be yourself." He swallowed, nodding slowly. "I guess I didn't realize that until recently. I've been trying to figure out what I actually want, not what I think people expect." There was something more beneath his words, something still wrapped in hesitation. The road stretched ahead, long and steady, giving him all the time he needed. "Take your time," I said gently. "I'm listening." He exhaled through his nose, a quiet release of years of unspoken thoughts. "I've been feeling lost," he finally said. "Not unhappy, just unsure of where I'm headed. Everyone my age seems like they've got this plan, this direction, and I'm just trying to keep up." His honesty carried a kind of courage. That same courage he had as a little boy learning to ride a bike, wobbly, uncertain, but determined. I could hear the echo of that child in the man next to me. "You don't have to compare yourself to anyone," I said. "Life doesn't move in a straight line. It twists, it changes. What matters is that you're growing, learning." The car filled with a comfortable quiet again. Not heavy this time, more like a pause where emotions settle into place. He turned toward me, his expression softer than I'd seen in years. "It means more than you know, hearing that from you." A small smile touched my lips. "Well, you mean more than you know to me." We drove a bit farther, the sky deepening into evening blues. Streetlights blinked awake one by one, guiding our path like gentle markers. Then, as if gathering every ounce of courage he had left, Daniel drew in a slow breath. "There's something else I need to tell you," he said. "Something I've never said out loud." His voice carried a tenderness that made my heart tighten. Anticipation, concern, love all weaving together. I glanced at him, waiting. This was the moment the drive had been leading to. The moment where everything shifted again. The air in the car felt still, as if even the breeze outside had paused to give Daniel room to speak. Evening shadows stretched across the road, long and gentle, while a soft glow from the dashboard cast a warm tint over his face. He looked older in that light, not in a tired way, but in a way that showed the layers he'd been carrying. He rubbed his hands together slowly, a nervous habit he'd had since he was little. "Mom, I've been afraid to say this because I didn't want to let you down." My heart tightened again. So much of what he felt seemed rooted in a fear I never meant for him to carry. I eased my foot off the gas just slightly, letting us glide down a quieter stretch of road lined with tall oaks. "You won't let me down," I said softly. "Whatever it is, I'd rather hear it than have you hold it inside." He nodded, staring ahead for a moment as if searching the darkness for the right words. "I think I've been pretending to be stronger than I am," he said finally. "To everyone, but mostly to you. I'm supposed to be grown now, supposed to know what I'm doing. But most days, I'm scared I'm making the wrong choices." His voice didn't crack, but the emotion in it was unmistakable. Deep, real, and long overdue. I let the silence sit for a moment. Not empty silence, but the kind where understanding grows. The road curved gently, and a streetlight washed over us, lighting his face with a soft clarity. "Being grown doesn't mean you stop feeling unsure," I said. "It means you learn to keep going even when you are. That's courage, Daniel. And you have it." He took a slow breath, as if absorbing the words carefully. "I don't want to disappoint you," he repeated, this time quieter, almost a confession. You haven't, I said firmly. Not once. He turned his head slightly, just enough for me to see the faint shine in his eyes. Not sadness, relief. Something loosening inside him little by little. I didn't know how to tell you I'm changing, he continued. My ideas, my goals, even the way I see the world. I'm not the same person I was a few years ago. I'm trying to figure out who I really am now. The honesty of it moved me more deeply than I expected. I'd watched him grow through scraped knees and school projects, through disappointments and small triumphs. But this was different. This was him letting me see the fragile, unfiltered parts of who he was becoming. That's part of life, I said. We're always learning ourselves. Even at my age, I still discover new pieces of who I am. He released a soft laugh. I guess I thought adults had it all sorted out. Well, I said with a smile, I hate to break it to you, but we're all improvising. For the first time that evening, his shoulders relaxed, completely. The road opened into a wider stretch, and the sky beyond the windshield was a deeper blue now, the first stars starting to show. There was a quiet comfort in the moment, a feeling of closeness that didn't need words. Then Daniel spoke again, his tone calm but full of meaning. There's one more thing, Mom. Not something bad, just something important, something I need you to understand about me. I felt the familiar flutter of anticipation, gentle, protective, loving. I'm listening, I said. This time he didn't hesitate. He turned toward me fully, the evening light catching a kind of clarity in his expression. And with the next words he spoke, the journey took yet another unexpected turn, one that would change the way I saw him, and myself, in ways I hadn't imagined. The night had fully settled by the time Daniel spoke again. The sky was a deep velvet, dotted with stars, and the car seemed cocooned in quiet, the streetlights passing like soft punctuation marks along the road. I kept my eyes on him, sensing that this moment, the one he'd been building up to, was delicate and significant. I've been thinking about what I want to do with my life, he began, voice steady but layered with something raw. And I realized I've been trying to follow paths I thought I should take, not the ones that actually feel right to me. I nodded slowly, keeping my voice gentle. That's a big realization. It's hard to separate what we want from what we think we're supposed to want. He swallowed, looking out the window for a moment before meeting my gaze. I've decided to take a different direction. It's not what most people expect of me. It might not even make sense to some, but it's honest. It feels like me. I felt a mixture of surprise and pride swell inside me. Surprise because, like any parent, I had my own ideas about what his future should look like, but pride because he had the courage to listen to himself above everything else. Daniel, I said, reaching over to squeeze his hand, this doesn't change anything about how I feel about you. Not one bit. I'm proud that you're brave enough to follow your own path. He gave a small, relieved laugh. I was so scared you'd be upset or disappointed. Nothing you do could make me disappointed in the person you are, I said firmly. And the person you're becoming is the one I want to know. That's the one I've been waiting to meet. The car rode in silence for a few moments, the hum of the engine and the occasional sound of distant traffic filling the space, but it wasn't empty. It was full of understanding, trust, and a connection that felt stronger than it had in years. I think I was afraid, he admitted softly, because I've seen how hard you worked, and I wanted to make it easy for you. But I realize now, it's not about making life easier for anyone else. It's about being true to yourself. I felt tears prick at the corners of my eyes, not because I was sad, but because I was moved by the honesty and depth of his reflection. The boy who once hesitated at every new challenge was now a man facing life with awareness, vulnerability, and courage. You're doing exactly what you need to do, I said, my voice steady. And I'm here, every step of the way. We're in this together always. He nodded, and for the first time that evening, I saw a complete ease in his posture, a quiet confidence that came from acknowledging his own truth. We drove on, past the quiet streets and glowing lampposts, feeling the weight of unspoken fears lift and make space for trust and hope. By the time we pulled into our driveway, the stars were brighter, and the night felt calmer somehow, as though the world had shifted just for us. Daniel stepped out of the car, and I followed, standing beside him under the gentle glow of our porch light. He turned to me smiling, and I realized that something fundamental had changed between us. It wasn't just that he'd shared his fears and choices. It was that we had truly seen each other raw and honest without judgment. "Thanks for listening," he said, voice soft. "No," I replied. "Thank you for trusting me." And in that quiet, ordinary driveway, I understood that love isn't measured in what we control for each other, but in the space we give one another to grow, speak, and become who we really are. That night, as I watched him walk toward the house with a lighter step, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude, not just for him, but for the moments, big and small, that allow us to truly connect and understand one another. It was a drive I would never forget, not because of where we went, but because of where our hearts had traveled together.